I think before we start, let's sanitize our hands. That's the most important thing to do. And I'm excited to tell everybody that this episode is going to be all about Israel. So we're here today and it's all about Israel. It's about our time in Israel. And before we get going, I want to tell all the viewers that in September last year, the entire My Yiddish Mama cookbook team went to Israel for about 2 weeks. And in that time, we really experienced the country and the culture, and particularly the food. Kristen, going to Israel for the first time, tell the viewers, what was it like for you and your husband?
Well, going to Israel was one of the most incredible experiences of our lives. We went into the markets and it is just the rush, and people are bustling about. Their aromas, just the whole ambience of the whole place is just so vibrant. And as for the food, as a foodie, you can't get a better place than going to an Israeli market.
Absolutely not. In fact, Yotam Matalengi's book, Jerusalem, was one of the most famous cookbooks of the most recent decade. And most people bought it because of the aesthetics of it, but they don't realize that when you go to a city like Jerusalem, the food culture there is exploding. It's incredible. Did you get inspired when you walked through the market?
Absolutely, because as you go into the market, you're bombarded with different things all the time. So you'll first go past a baklava stand, and then you fall in love with baklava, because as you walk past, you just quickly get a few pieces, and as you're walking, you're just eating baklava. Good. Then you go past a person making shakshuka. Yeah. Then you're in love with shakshuka, and you have to try that. So
it's so true though. It's such a vibrant place, and I'll tell you now that if you are a foodie, no better place to be than in somewhere like Israel. This is all street food, and you're going to teach us how to make pita breads very shortly, and amongst other things that'll come a little bit later. But I'm excited because this is stuff that you can make at home that you would traditionally go out onto the street and get from a vendor, and it's just super delicious. But we can't go onto the street, can we? Because we're kitchen bound, hence the name of the show. So, Kristen, we're stuck at home. We've got a bunch of ingredients that we can use to make something delicious. How do we make pita bread?
Okay, so to make pita bread. Now, pita bread is the most amazing thing because you can make a double batch and you can pop them in the freezer. So when you feel like a little snack, you just take them out the freezer, pop them in the toaster, and you've got something amazing.
Very cool. So you can make a double batch. So like first pita, second pita. Okay, cool. Let's go for it.
There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 cup of warm water. Remember, it must be warm and not hot. Otherwise, our yeast won't activate. Okay, to the warm water, we're going to add the yeast.
Nice. Yeast always looks like pepper.
Yes. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're going to add the sugar.
Nice.
And then sugar also helps the yeast to activate.
Oh, wow.
It feeds off that.
Beautiful.
And we're going to give that a stir. And just to combine it nicely.
Very cool. So like in Israel, with pita breads, when you're walking through the market, the most incredible thing to me is you stand and these pizzas are falling out of that machine.
The conveyor belt.
Yeah, the conveyor belt. And they're falling all onto these trays and they are piping hot. And when you pick up that bag, there's that condensation in the bag from the heat of the pita breads. And when you pull it apart, do you remember, were you walking with us when I bought that bag of pita at the market and then I gave it to everybody to try? And everyone was like, whoa! I can't believe this is how pita bread can taste. Very different experience when you're there.
There we go.
Cool. So now
what we're going to do is we're just going to set this aside and it will activate, and I'll show you that just now.
Okay, wonderful. So I assume we got to deal with this big bowl here.
Yeah. So to this big bowl, we're going to add 2.5 to 3 cups of flour.
Okay.
There we go. 1. Oh.
That's 2 cups. We're going to add, what are you going to add, a half or a?
I'm going to add about 1/3. There we go.
Okay.
Happy medium.
Perfect, no problem. Good.
There we go.
So we got beautiful flour in a bowl.
And to that we add salt.
Nice.
We'll need to give our yeast a couple minutes to activate.
So
and
you
then
need
we
to give
can-
this at yeast a couple of minutes. And then?
And then we'll add it to our flour and get kneading.
Something about Machane Yehuda Market in Jerusalem that I really love is that you don't break the bank when you go to a market in Israel.
Mm-mm.
And it's very different to going to a grocery store. And foods like this shouldn't break the bank either. If you look at your ingredients, which is a little bit of sugar and salt and oil and flour and yeast, it really doesn't hurt the pocket to have these ingredients in your cupboard, which most people actually do.
Yeah.
And you can make something quite delicious.
Absolutely.
That is far better than a slice of bread.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm excited because market living in Israel, for me, at least being a South African, is I always appreciate that you can get such delicious things and you don't have to take too much money out of your pocket. Whereas when you go to a grocery store, to a specialized butcher or things like that, you end up spending quite a lot of money. It's an expensive country to eat in.
It is, yes.
So what you want to do is realize the whole world is getting more expensive, and the more accessible, cheaper ingredients we can use to make really yummy things, I think the better for everybody, right?
And also the fresh produce in the market
Absolutely.
is incredible.
Right. And I mean, this is pretty healthy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if people are gluten intolerant, is there a way to make this? Like, can you make a gluten-free pita bread, or is that
Then
not a thing?
you'd have to use your gluten-free flours.
Oh, and you get those?
Yes.
Are those readily available? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this is for everyone. Cool, let's go.
Okay, so are you going to
Sure, with pleasure.
get into that? Okay, great.
So,
So we're just going to add the...
so no wells today.
No, we don't need to worry about wells today. Just going to add that to it. And that you can just combine that to make a stiff dough.
Oh.
While you're doing that, I'm going to add a drizzle of oil. It can be any type of vegetable oil, or olive oil is great as well.
Why does yeast have such a terrible smell?
Well, once it's cooked, it's done its job.
Yeah.
And so while it's activating, it's creating carbon dioxide, which creates the bubbles in the bread.
Okay.
So you actually need that smell because it's creating a gas.
Sure.
Which
it
makes
does
your...
smell very gassy.
Which makes your bread rise.
Okay, well, very good. Again, if you're intending to make this for Pesach, for Passover, you can't because of the yeast and because of the flour and the combination of the rising of the dough and all of that. So you can't make this on Pesach.
That's perfect. And then we're going to take thank you. That is awesome.
Cool.
We're going to put it onto our working surface.
Yeah.
And then we just need to knead it.
Okay, do you mind if I wash my hands?
You may.
All right, so I have a bowl for you. That
Fantastic.
has a little bit of oil in it.
Great. I've been kneading this for about 5 minutes.
Perfect.
So it's a beautiful dough, nice and soft, not sticky at all, which is great.
Wonderful.
So we're going to take our beautiful piece of dough and put it into an oiled bowl and allow it to rise.
Lovely.
There we go. Remember, you can cover it with a piece of cling film just so it stays nice and warm.
Perfect.
You can put it into a warm water bath or just into a warm spot in your home.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, should we let this rise?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, beautiful. This looks incredible. So it has risen.
It has.
Important.
Beautiful.
Things must rise. Okay, so what do we do now?
Great. So now we're going to form the pitas.
Beautiful.
Okay. So first what we need to do is knock all the air that we've been waiting so patiently for out the dough.
Love to knock the air out of the dough. Okay.
There we go. So that's as simple as that. And it won't go back to its original size, but that's good.
Again, it looks like putty or Play-Doh.
It feels amazing.
Okay.
There we go.
Alrighty. Oh, I can see the air bubbles actually in the... That's incredible.
Yeah.
Knock them right out. When I was little, I used to love to play with those poppy thingies that they used to wrap stuff in.
Yes.
What's it called?
Bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And that just looked like one ginormous
Yeah.
bubble wrap. I was about to put my finger in it, but then I thought, better not. Okay, so now let me move the bowl out of the
There
way.
So what we can do?
Do we need to flour the surface at all?
Yes, let's do that.
All right, so how much flour should I put on the surface?
Just a generous sprinkle.
Is that generous enough?
Yes, perfect. And you can just spread that out a bit.
Okay.
So we want the pita breads to have that like nice floury outside, which is nice.
Okay, got you.
Okay, so what you need to do is to divide this one into 4.
4?
Yes. And then you can just break them apart and just twist them
twist
apart.
them, eh?
Yes. So
Okay.
there we go. So this recipe makes 8 beautiful pita breads.
Oh, excellent. Okay, cool. So now that I've got it into...
What we want to do is take your sides and fold them all into the center. So the top is nice and round, like a little mushroom.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine aren't as big as yours.
Pinch them together.
I am definitely not doing it like you. There is no 2 words about it.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh.
So we can just leave that there.
Wow. No, that's not perfect. It's nothing like yours. Okay, but anyway.
Very good. This one's small, so.
It's like making little jellyfish.
We don't need to be pedantic about
Okay.
the different sizes. So
No.
there we go.
So there we go. So we've got our little 8
pita breads.
mini little pita breads. What do we do next?
We're going to grab a rolling pin and then we're going to get rolling.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we've made our little balls, and what we're going to do is you're going to roll out a couple just to show everybody how to do it.
There we go. So what you can do is flatten them out by hand just a little bit.
This kind of feels like I'm making mini pizzas.
Yes.
Could you use this for pizzas?
You can. But remember, this is a pita bread and it's going to puff. So when you make it for pizzas, just prick it with a fork before it goes in the oven.
Otherwise, you can make like a margarita pita.
Yes.
Ah, very nice.
Which will release the air. Okay.
Okay.
So then we can just roll them both ways.
I feel like we should make pizza dough at some point, because if people have these kind of dry ingredients at home, pizza's something that you can throw a whole bunch of stuff on top of, and you can really just make some. Yeah. So maybe you need to teach us how to make a pizza dough.
Will do.
Very selfishly, I ask that because I actually want to learn how to make them so I can make them at home.
There we go. So that's about how thick we want the
Can I try?
to be. Absolutely.
Okay, so why does it stick? Is that because it needs to be a little bit more flour on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be generous with the flour because there's something just beautiful about a nice floury pizza. Okay, then turn it around and you can get your edges.
Nice.
Perfect. Lovely. Then
Is that thin enough?
Perfect.
Okay. Cool. So let's just pick this up. That's kind of how thin it should be, which is really just lovely to touch as well. This is so wonderful. I think I'm going to get far more involved in making doughs and breads.
Good.
Yeah, this is really fun. Okay, cool. What do we do now?
We're going to pop that onto a baking tray.
Right. All right, I'm going to roll the rest of these out while those get put into the oven so that actually the crew that's with us today can enjoy some pita breads a bit later. All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. Beautiful.
See how they're doing.
Hello, Pita.
There we go.
Those look amazing.
Okay.
That is just sensational.
Beautiful.
They smell so good, Kristen. How long does it usually take for these to cool down?
As they cool down, you'll see that the puffiness
okay.
reduce a lot. So then they'll become flat again.
Oh, wonderful.
And then you can pop them in, once they cool, you can pop them into a plastic bag and freeze them, or you can use them straight away because they are fantastic right
That
now.
is so
Yeah.
cool.
So,
Let's just, I'm not burning my hands. Well, I am kind of, but that is just wonderful. It's all puffy and
pockets
floury
of goodness.
and brown and bready and smells yeasty, and it's just wonderful.
Beautiful.
This is pita bread made by Kristen. Remember that we went to Israel, we tasted this on the street, and now it is available in your home. Enjoy.